Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes? Yep. Okay, louder. Okay, so my name's Dr. Ronan Cleary, and today I'm going to give you a talk on the right to life and why abortion is not healthcare. So wait for me, I will bring you love. So goes Spike Milligan's powerful and evocative poem, Unto Us, written from the perspective of a child being aborted. I would encourage everyone and anyone with a doubt as to the wrong of abortion on demand to read this poem. As many of you may know, we had a referendum in Ireland last year where the inherent right to life of the unborn child was removed from the Constitution, bringing in abortion on demand to Ireland. During the referendum campaign, those advocating for abortion who cast themselves as social justice warriors had combined forces with the biased media establishment and fake human rights organisations such as Amnesty International to convince the Irish people to strip away the right to life of the most vulnerable in our society, the unborn child. We did have our advocates, though. This cute little chap. and a few people who opposed it, standing up bravely for the right to life. Though we were against very powerful slogans and propaganda, it even convinced this gentleman. I voted no, though, in the referendum on abortion last year because I believe that every life should be valued, regardless of age, sex, disability, or circumstance. The leaders of the pro-life movements were at pains to express this at every opportunity, though the pro-choice side accused them of being anti-women's rights. Do you think that these ladies would be anti-women's rights? I don't think so. The pro-life side advocated true equality before the law for us all, no matter our stage of life. However, this is exactly what the new legislation in Ireland on termination of pregnancy does not provide. There is now no equality before the law for the most vulnerable and innocent human beings in our society, the unborn child. Currently, in Ireland, if a child does not meet some subjective standard of perfection or is deemed to be inconvenient and unwanted, its life can potentially be ended because of what some call choice. The law on abortion in Ireland is now one of the most liberal abortion regimes anywhere in the world, far more liberal than in Great Britain. Currently, abortion is permitted for any reason up to 3 months. That's 12 weeks. In Ireland, abortion is allowed even up to 6 months on mental health grounds. This is the same grounds where in England and Wales, 97% of all abortions are performed. The law here, I understand, often not being adhered to, with pre-signed papers sometimes awaiting those who wish to terminate their pregnancy. As a result, 90% of babies diagnosed with Down syndrome in the UK are aborted. This will undoubtedly now be replicated in Ireland. In the first 3 months of this year, there have been well over 1,000 abortions in the Republic, paying lie to the claim by those who sought to remove the constitutional right to life of the unborn child that abortion would be rare if legalized. We have now gone from being one of the safest places in the world for women and baby to thrive to being at the vanguard of the abortion industry. As a doctor, 2 principles have guided me since qualifying. The first being to do no intentional harm, and the second, to base my treatment of patients on what is evidently appropriate. A further thought which underpins these 2 principles is my belief in the absolute right to life of each and every one of us. This right to life is not reliant of ink on paper, but it exists because we as human beings exist. It has nothing to do with religion per se, but rather is inherent in all of us because of our shared humanity. By repealing this inherent right to life of the unborn child last year, I believe the Irish government has imposed a law on my country which is contrary to the unwritten natural law that binds us all, our shared humanity. Further, to compound the matter, from my own perspective as a GP, abortion has been foisted on primary care without any consultation. It is sad to say that some GPs are now part-time abortionists, carrying out medical abortions in primary care. To be clear, the law in Ireland before the referendum never prevented a woman or a child from receiving the medical treatment that they required to ensure her continued health and the continued health of the baby. All the referendum was about was whether you believed someone should have the right to choose life or death for another distinct human being. Lest there be any doubt, at 12 weeks, the baby's mouth, nose, and ears have formed. It is able to move its legs, suck its thumb, has its own fingerprints, and often has hair on top of his or her head. If this is not a distinct human life, please correct me. I would respectfully submit to those who call me anti-choice is the right to choose unlimited. As to one's own destiny, it is a philosophical one, whereby we are all constrained in our choices. However, if our choices detrimentally affect the life of another distinct human being, as an abortion on demand, is that a choice that should be permissible as it is now? In India and China, there are missing millions of women due to selective gendercide, as families, once they find out the baby is female, abort the child. Where are the feminists protecting these girls' rights? Where is their equality? This can now legally happen in Ireland and has, I understand, happened in Great Britain. It is truly appalling, truly. I would suggest that Alice Paul, a famous suffragette and feminist from the last century, hit the nail on the head when she said, "Abortion is the ultimate exploitation of women." Then, to those who ask, is abortion ever necessary to save the life of a woman? I would reply, the deliberate death of the child, of the baby, is never a means of saving the life of the mother. So if by abortion on demand you mean the deliberate destruction of an unborn child, then no, it is never necessary to deliberately kill an unborn child. That is not healthcare. It may be necessary to deliver the baby at a stage when its chances of survival are very low. But before abortion was legalized in Ireland, the direct death of the child was not the aim of any procedure as it is now. And we had one of the safest obstetric care services for mother and baby in the Western world. Therefore, lest there be any doubt, abortion is the deliberate killing of a child. That is its very nature, that is its very purpose, period. This is never necessary to protect the health of the child, never. This is never necessary to protect the health of the mother, never. If, you may ask, as an ectopic pregnancy, which I'm sure you know is when the baby is not inside the uterus, but more often in the fallopian tubes, or during other complications of pregnancy, the woman's life is at risk. Doctors would always do everything and give all necessary treatment to save the woman's life, even if this meant in turn that the child would not survive. This would be the case even if the threat was not immediate. Consequently, if in treating the woman, doctors did and would have had to end the pregnancy and deliver the child ahead of time, often with the child not surviving due to the danger to the mother, that would have occurred. However, doctors would do everything within their powers to save the child. The intention was never to end the life of the child as it is now, but to provide life-saving treatment to the mother. This is a very important distinction. Abortion, though, does not make that distinction. It is the intentional killing of the child. As I said, it has nothing to do with medical health care. And by that very phrase, intentional killing breaks the oath that every doctor takes upon qualifying for medical school. First, do no harm. So, as in an ectopic pregnancy, the death of the child is often the secondary outcome of the treatment given to safeguard the health of the mother, rather than the primary objective as in abortion. Then you may ask, what is the situation where a woman is told that their child is terminally ill whilst they are pregnant? Should abortion of that baby be the answer? I would say that the woman should be supported and not forced down the road of feeling no option but to have an abortion in those circumstances. Pregnancy is a natural process, bringing about the existence of a child. Death, though, is also a natural process. We often forget that, and sometimes people, both adults and children, do not live as long as we would wish. Is that a reason to kill them? If any unborn child or born child has been diagnosed with a terminal illness, then we should care as best and lovingly as we can for that child and the mother. We don't kill the terminally ill simply because their life is going to be short or maybe cause distress to others. If you think about it, how is that medicine? It is not. How is it justifiable to kill a child because they somehow may be inconvenient or do not meet some subjective standard of perfection? I would submit it is not justifiable. Who then is advocating on behalf of that child in the womb? As per Spike Milligan's poem, there is no Queen's Counsel to take my brief. Regardless of the length of a pregnancy, a mother may potentially grieve for a long time to come if her child dies. If she suffers a miscarriage or the child has what is thought to be a terminal illness, and it is feared that he or she will not live long once born. However, if she is helped, the mother, if she is helped to care for and support her child in whatever way she can, she will be helped in the grieving process by the knowledge that she did everything she could. An abortion does not solve anything. In fact, it often only compounds the grief. I would say all lives are worthy of full respect, whether or not they are short-lived or life-limiting, or have life-limiting disabilities. Therefore, the debate about abortion, where an unborn baby has a life-limiting condition that is sometimes described as terminal, is not strictly just a medical one, but rather a philosophical one, and is rather how we look out for one another as a society. Relevant to this are children who often only have been given hours to live post-birth. Those with conditions such as Patau syndrome, also known as trisomy 13. But many of those children have been known to live several years after being born, giving love to their parents and receiving love in return. Do they not deserve a shot at life? Do their brave parents not deserve to get to know their child and form relationships and memories with them? Who is a doctor to say to a parent, your child cannot live? Anyone can have a disability, a handicap, or terminal illness, and it can come in old age, middle age, in childhood, or even before we are born. In each of these challenging situations, we must look after one another in a way that respects the dignity of each and every human life. That includes you and me. That is the key message, the respect for human life. It applies equally to me as a doctor and to people outside the medical profession. Why should this fact be any less the case before we are born? We are all still human, are we not? But as I've alluded to, doctors also get it wrong. Doctors have often no way of knowing how long a child diagnosed with a certain condition will live. As I mentioned with Patau, but also with other conditions such as Edwards syndrome. There are many happy stories where parents have ignored the advice of the doctors who advised abortion, to go on to have the baby and form relationships with him or her for however brief a period. Further, many parents have aborted children only to find out that the existence of perinatal hospice care as an alternative to abortion. The primary reason for this, I believe, is the sustained media campaign which focuses on abortion in these situations with little or no discussion on positive alternatives. But there are positive alternatives. However, do not underestimate that the abortion lobby is well embedded within our media. They are not impartial on this topic by any means. But instead of pressurizing parents to go down the road of abortion, healthcare professionals should be given additional resources to provide high-quality palliative care to families in sharing those precious moments with their baby for whatever length of time he or she lives. Positively, the advances in medical care now also mean that the child can be successfully operated on whilst in utero. That's while still in the womb, if required. These procedures include cardiac operations and operations on the spine, including rectifying spinal defects such as spina bifida. These are life-saving procedures, with children having been aborted in the past because of these conditions. A recent case, as shown in the picture that you might see on the screen behind me, was in Philadelphia in the USA. This is a prime example. A mother was told after a 20-week scan that her daughter, Eloise, had spina bifida. This is where the spinal cord has not fused properly and abortion was recommended. However, the lady in question, Bethan, chose life, and at 25 weeks, Bethan had the operation done by a team of 20 doctors, and Eloise, her daughter, was born on the 1st of April 2019, fit and well, her mother saying, She literally came out kicking and screaming and peeing all over the place, so she ticked all the boxes. So I would just like to finish by saying that there is never any medical reason for abortion, but laws change our attitudes and beliefs. When you legalize something, you make it normal, and when you make something normal, you get more of it. Ireland at present is a case in point. However, this is where we come in. We need to challenge the groupthink in society that seeks to normalize the taking of human life. How do we do this? Well, in Ireland, a new party has sprung up post the referendum, advocating, amongst other things, on behalf of the unborn child. No, it's not those two. Aintu. Aintu is the name of our party, and it stands for Life, Unity and Justice. It means together, unity. You can check out this party at aintu.ie if you'd like to have a look. But I would just finish by also quoting a great man, Mahatma Gandhi. And he said, many people, especially ignorant people, want to punish you for speaking the truth, for being correct, for being you. Never apologize for being correct or for being years ahead of your time. If you're right and you know it, speak your mind. Speak your mind even if you are a minority of one. The truth is still the truth. And I would just like to also finish by saying, in the future, you must always, always think pro-life, talk pro-life, and vote pro-life. Thank you. Woo!